All right, man. Let's get around the sports world. Some very strong, harsh, maybe a little bit misinformed words were spoken over the weekend. I told you guys earlier that Dak Prescott went out of the Falcons game, and most said he had a hamstring injury. Now, Monday morning, and I haven't addressed this on Twitter. I don't want to address it here, but I know that some of you want to hear my thoughts about it. On a dying show on FS1 called The Facility, that's the show with Maniacho and James Jones and one of my football goats, and I'm now, what's the quarterback's name? Shoot. I just drew an absolute blank. The Facility, Chase, what's his name? Chase Daniels, one of my football goats. And the reason he's one of my football goats because I think Chase Daniels has like 11 career NFL starts, played in the league for like over 10 years, made a bunch of money to do nothing. That's GOAT status to me. Make tens and 20s millions of dollars. I think he made maybe like $40 million over his career, whatever it was. And he has like 9 starts. I love it. Eddie, you beat the system, buddy. You beat the system, and you were a backup for all these years, and you made some great money, and that's why you are one of my football goats, because you fleeced the system for so long. There is no better job than being a backup quarterback in the National Football League. You are not required to do very much. You make a good living, and even if they ask you to start, you're not even expected to win. If you win, it's a bonus. But if you get to the right coach and hit with the right team, you will have a job. $41 million he made over his career. $41 million. And threw 9 touchdown passes. It's my kind of GOAT right there. You guys can have the Tom Brady's and the Patrick Mahomes of the world. Have those guys. Those guys are fine. Those would be your GOATs. Guys like Chase, GOATs to me. How you finesse the system. But anyway, this show, The Facility with James Jones and Maniacho and Chase and Shady McCoy. And we all know that Shady is ill-informed and unintelligent and makes horrible takes. And Acho is he's the puppet master for these guys. Chase gives you a little bit of perspective because he actually has a good take. But normally James Jones is the guy who gives you some solid takes, very, very rational in his thinking. Well, he came out early Monday morning before any of the MRIs were done and any of the other things were done on Dak Prescott, and he had the audacity to say, because I've had a hamstring injury and the way that he fell or the way that it didn't look as severe, and I'm a receiver and I played this game and I muscled through some hamstring injuries and he's a quarterback and this and that and the third and all that. And he had the audacity. He had the unmitigated gall to say that Dak Prescott quit on his teammates. Now, when you make comments like that, you gotta have some solid information. You just can't come, shooting from the hip with allegations like that. And of course, it caught wind, and it was all over social media. It was on the national networks, and it caught fire. And then the MRI came out. And in fact, James Jones, who told everybody that he played this game and he had hamstring injuries and he saw how he got up and it didn't look that way. And come to find out, James Jones, in fact, did not ever have a hamstring injury like this. This hamstring injury was one that was a partial tear of the meat, the hamstring meat from the bone. So not only was James Jones loud and aggressive in his take. But he was dead wrong. I mean, dead wrong. And then, he tried to have a Twitter apology, and Archo, being the puppet master that he is, he hyped it up on Twitter and said, no, James. You can't get on Twitter and apologize. You said it on TV. You got to apologize on TV. And then that got traction. And of course, when it all came about, James Jones got on the show and he made a half-hearted apology because the words that I apologize never came out of his mouth. Instead, James Jones, with maybe a little bit too much pride, a little too much ego, after the MRI had come out, after the results had come out, and he found out and he learned that, yes, he jumped the gun, and yes, he was loud and wrong, and that Dak did not have a normal hamstring injury, that Dak did not quit on his football team, nor has Dak actually went on IR yet, because as we sit today, Dak is not on IR. Oh, no. All these things became evident to James Jones. And instead of him standing up there like a man and uttering the words, I was wrong, I apologize, because you publicly ripped a man and you called a man's courage and his fight and his will and his character into question. And instead of James Jones standing up to the world and being as boisterous and loquacious as he was when he made the allegations that Dak Prescott quit, he sat up there almost in his timid and quiet voice and he uttered the words, my bad. That was my bad. And to that, James Jones, I say bull-ish. What a coward of you. Because you jumped off the porch. You jumped out the window with the allegation. I mean, and you were strong in what you were saying with no information. And yes, James Jones, you are a former NFL player. Damn good one, might I add. But Mike McCarthy is your former coach. You could have easily reached out to Mike McCarthy and asked him, hey, coach, what is the prognosis on Dak Prescott? You could have reached out to many people. Your host, Manny Acho, used to work for DallasCowboys.com. He has connections to people who cover this team at a much more hands-on rate than you. Could have reached out to them. Could have just pumped your brakes a little bit before you went all puffy, tough guy talk. And called that man out and said that he quit on his team. That's and especially coming from someone who was in the fraternity of football players, to say that a man has quit on his football team, some tough allegations. And you said them with such ease and such matter of fact, and you were loud and you were wrong. And instead of you being a man and standing up on national TV like you were when you made the allegations and simply uttering the words, I was wrong, I'm sorry, I apologize, you acted as if, I don't want to even say that, but you acted like a punk and only could muster up, my bad. My bad. No. That ain't acceptable. That ain't acceptable. My bad? You might want to go back and play that clip back about how you were screaming and hollering that man quit on his team, on his brothers, on the guys that he's in the foxhole with. You might want to go back and just see how much veracity that you had and how much aggression that you had in your tone. Man, let your apology be that as boastful as that allegation was. See, and this is the problem that we do in life. When the allegations come, we make them loud and we put them in bold print and we say them with such emphasis. Oh, but when someone's acquitted, you write it in small print. So my bad to me, James Jones, is completely unacceptable. It makes you look like a punk. To me, it makes you look like a coward. It makes me not even want to hear anything that ever comes out of your mouth again. And I get the show that must go on. I get the production of it all and that you guys have to drive ratings so you say these invalid things. But when you're wrong, come on that same show. And as the young people say, keep that same energy, my boy. It's only right.